AEW and WWE just keep continuing to raise the bar. We look back at the catalyst that brought new and lapsed fans back to WWE. Plus, we've got an Undertaking, and whatever else we come up with, it's Final Wrestling Place.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.
Are you ready to listen to Final Wrestling Place? Kick it! Yeah! Yeah! You wanna be in the good place, fool? You better be doing what you're supposed to do. Bad place, little boy. Good place, little man. Bring it down. Final Wrestling Place. Final Wrestling Place.
Hey, brother, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man. I'm good, dog. Nice, cool summer night, an unseasonably cool summer night here. More weather talk. We know that's what the people want. How do you feel about cool days during the summer? Are you cool with like a couple days, or?
I'm cool with any sort of reprieve that we get, because I feel like we didn't have a spring. I felt like it was a really unseasonably cool spring. And then like summer hit. Well, technically we just got into summer and we've already had like a week of 90s. No.
The 2 weeks of 90 plus degree weather. I'm here for it, man.
No.
Summer's here.
Some of us have
Big
melanin and some of us don't.
That's right. That ain't my problem, baby. The gods looked down upon me and kissed me with the sun.
That caramel complexion.
It feels real good.
Yes, sir.
Really good.
Real good. But it is Final Wrestling Place. I am Tim.
Oh, I'm still Marcus.
And you heard it up at the top, man. So many things to still continue to talk about, rather. We are not a This Week in Wrestling podcast, but dagnabbit, when things are good, we got to talk about it. We can't just sit on our hands.
When things are good, man. And when the wrestling gods bless us with another topical week, then that's just what we're going to do, man. Right. Old wrestling's always going to be there. We can always look back on stuff, but in current day and time, it is not always a given that we have like actively good weeks in wrestling. So, I mean, we're going to talk about it some more and also talk a couple other things on the episode as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope we're going to talk about a lot of things, and we hope that you are following along with us on your podcatcher of choice through YouTube, however have you, and join the conversation on our Discord through the soon-to-be-named network, soon-to-be-named-network.tumblr.com. If you don't have an invite, shoot us an email, finalwrestlingplace@gmail.com, or let us know in the comment section of YouTube or however.
Or $20.
Or $20. You can just give us straight $20, straight cash, homie. It always works. But we're going to start the day with weekly purchases.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We're not trying to boost from We Need Wrestling, who did their weekly purchases up front. I believe that was last week.
Yeah.
But it fits.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm bringing it up at the front, because it's also an apology. So last week, unbeknownst to us, over halfway through the podcast, we had this god-awful crackle throughout the entire back half of the episode. And God bless you guys for sticking through, listening to it, gritting through it. And I know exactly when it happened after thinking back about it, especially when Joe started talking about it on Ad Odds this week. to tell you how the sausage is made a little bit, Marcus and I record through StreamYard, but we don't actually record through StreamYard. We use it as kind of just like a online Skype call. So we can see each other, we can talk to one another, we get the visual cues that you would get from a conversation.
See each other's wieners.
We are 20 years deep, and I have never seen your hog. And I'm telling you right now, it makes me so sad.
It'll probably happen one of these days. Maybe for the 30-year anniversary.
And I gotta look when your heart explodes after you try steroids that one time. They're gonna be like, "Can you verify who this is?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't seen his wiener. Can you show it to me?" And that's I'm gonna be. You're gonna be corpsed out, and I'm gonna be chilling, looking at your hog, and I'm like, "Man,
hopefully I'm all chewed up.
He was a grower."
Hopefully I'm all blue chewed up.
I hope so. I'll give you one. I'll sneak one in and like move your jaw to make it like swallow. I don't know how we make it work. But so we're in StreamYard. We watch each other, but I record directly to an audio program, much like Audacity or things like that. And my microphone also has a built-in mixer with it because I am a tech nerd. So I spent way too much money on this microphone for everything. This dates back to when I was like a video game streamer and I needed all my audio to route. And so midway through the episode, I moved my microphone and there is a USB-A to USB-C cord that connects the microphone to the computer. And my mic has been giving me problems for months. I have not figured out why it was giving me problems. And then when I heard the crackle, and then Joe said probably somebody bumped a cord, that's what it was. So my weekly purchase this week is I bought a new USB-A to USB-C cord to connect everything and hope that I don't have to replace this microphone because that would make me very, very sad because I have money. I don't have new podcast microphone money. I'm good. Yet. Hashtag up to something. So we've got a lot of things. So thank you guys so much for your continued listenership. Thank you for bearing with us last week. And we're going to make it up to you this week because it is going to be a doozy. But before not a doozy. What? We are not taking a crap. Did you purchase anything this week?
I felt like I did and I can't remember. Yeah, the little one has been really into like play wrestling. We've play wrestled pretty consistently as like characters for the last 2 weeks or so.
Nice.
So her favorites are like Bianca, Rhea Ripley, and Bailey. Those are like her top three.
Salute.
And every night I have to be The Rock.
You could be worse.
So I thought maybe the time has come. I bought her a play wrestling ring and Bailey, Rhea, and Bianca action figures. And I'll probably get her like a Becky and Charlotte when the Becky comes out. I think that's in late July.
Okay.
I'll probably get her some new figs if she's interested. So we'll see how like the first 3 or 4 go, and then we'll go from there.
Worst comes to worst, you got yourself the beginnings of a Lucy collection.
I got a couple Lucy's. Yeah, I made sure I got elites and ultimates just in case.
Oh my god, kid don't even appreciate it. Let me just give you a heads up right now. A Ziploc baggie like this will save your life.
Okay.
This is a baggie full of assorted arms, hands, heads. I got Roman's Ulafala in here. I got a boa for Hulk Hogan. I got the everything. More on the Ulafala later. Yeah, so before we get into modern day wrestling, I think we have already approached, we've encroached upon the anniversary of the pipe bomb with CM Punk. And because Joe definitely played it on At Odds this week, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm trying to remember. So many things have come up. I've maybe consumed a couple of gummies between At Odds and today. I'm gummy free right now. Don't worry. So my consortium tried to be a bad influence on me, and as I'm picking up my bowl for dinner tonight, she goes, "Do you want a gummy?" And I was like, "I have to be responsible. Marcus and I are gonna have a kick butt show, and I can't be high halfway through it. I can't do it. I'm not Ed. I'm not a professional high person. I can't do it." But yeah, so let's talk about the pipe bomb.
Yeah, man, let's talk about it.
What do you recall? Because we were both we both lived it. And the pipe bomb, what year was that? Was that 20?
That's 2011.
Okay, so 2011, I would have been 28. I was 25. I was 25 then, because I turned 18 in 04. 18 and 7 is 25. So I'm 25. I'm in college. Were you just graduating, or were you about to go off to Colt school?
Well, 2011. So I was actually getting ready to join Colt school. I was getting ready to join the Wrestle Factory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you had already gone to school, realized school wasn't good enough for you.
Yeah.
Came back.
Moved up to PA.
So your whole timeline is family moved.
Yeah.
You stayed with me a summer.
Tried to be an adult during one of the worst recessions this country's ever had. Didn't work out.
Amen. Then went to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or no, did you stay with me the summer after school?
Yes.
Okay.
But then I also went back to different school after moving back up.
Yes, but you didn't go back to that school.
Correct. Yeah.
You went local.
Yeah.
Right. But then you went to Wrestle Factory. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually very interesting. So
yeah.
What do you recall as being an actual student in training, like a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, aspiring wrestler, and then the pipe bomb happens on a Monday night, and you've got training on Wednesday?
So I was still 5 weeks out from going to my first training session, but
Right.
I'd already been in contact and started the wheels in motion. So, the thing I remember was just something exciting happened. That was it. Something exciting happened because 2011 is a really rough year, and 2010 is a really rough year in WWE, and the back half of 2009 is a really rough year in WWE. So it's something exciting finally happened, and I thought Joe brought up some great points. From a promo aspect, it definitely has its flaws,
Right.
And if you're not a friend of Phil, if you're not part of the Felicia, it's just another grinding promo. It's just another eye roll, which I get. But putting myself in the fan shoes, and at the time being part of the Felicia, it was just something exciting finally happened on Raw, because Raw had started what I like to call the Avatar era back in like 2008, where the show had to be super clean, and they moved to HD in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And the show was just like,
we were at the first HD
we're
Raw.
at the first HD Raw from the Hampton Coliseum. So
everybody's got to wear red.
Yeah, everybody's wearing red because it pops on HD and makes everybody look bigger. But yeah, everything's just like, it's all about the visuals. It's all about the visual presentation. And Raw hadn't felt raw in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of the Nexus angle, this was the only thing that felt raw on Raw in a really long time.
Right. And that's what I recall too. And it's like, and it's not so much like the whole work shoot aspect of it, but it definitely played into the hands of the fans who've known CM Punk, and they watched him from Ring of Honor. Like, he's calling out New Japan. It's cheap heat. Giving the nod to Colt Cabana. And saying all of the things that he says in the promo about, I hope WWE's better when Vince is dead, but instead it'll just be left to his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law. Right? Yeah. Oh, how the turntables. And that's what like makes me like kind of happy too, because if you look back at it, it's like he's kind of he was right. He kind of prognosticated a little bit, right? Like, yeah, he's playing the odds. An old man dies, right? Like, yes. And the company does get left to
nepotism.
The nepo baby-in-law. But in any regard, it's still kind of cool to go back and watch. I don't know if I've actually sat down and watched it since it aired, since it happened, but it's ingrained in my head. And now, tying it all full circle, Ringside Collectibles just announced their new line of defining moments figures. And what do you know? Pipe Bomb CM Punk is one of the 4 defining moments. Which is awesome. I needed that Punk. So I'll probably be getting it. But do you feel that it's, I guess my question is like, is it fair to have extreme criticism on something that is so monumental in a particular time period? And I don't know if it actually was monumental or if it's perceived monumental. Like enough people think it's a big deal, so it's a big deal.
It would have had a better legacy if they didn't try to actively kill it and do it and succeed in doing that in the weeks after. Like, this promo and the effects of this promo were allowed to live from Sounds of Freedom, from the pipe bomb till Money in the Bank, where he wins the title.
Right.
And then they immediately they kill it dead the next night when they just announce, okay, well, we're going to pretend like CM Punk's not here and we're just going to crown a brand new WWE champion. I'm going to do like the mini tournament or whatever. And
2-week
tournament. Punk comes back in 2 weeks anyways. Like,
yep. I was there for that Raw too.
Yeah. So it was just like, okay, well, like none of that was allowed to like live or breathe. So now what? And it's just back to, we got another pay-per-view to sell. Like, SummerSlam's around the corner. Got to sell SummerSlam. Oh, got another pay-per-view to sell. Night of Champions. Like,
right.
Nothing was allowed to play out. And I think that really killed the spirit of the promo and like the momentum coming off of that promo.
So I'm trying to remember myself. So the order of operations goes, Punk leaves at Money in the Bank. They do the 2-week tournament on Raw. The finals is Rey Mysterio and The Miz. Rey wins the title. Cena immediately requests to be Rey Mysterio's first challenger. Rey stupidly accepts. And, cut and paste action figure hero Rey Mysterio. Much like all other action figures. So it's Cena Mysterio on Raw for the title. Cena beats Rey Mysterio, LOL. And then we get the debut of Cult of Personality and the return of CM Punk, which led to the rematch at SummerSlam for the unification of the titles.
Correct.
And
with
then
Triple H involved.
And then after that is the Triple H Kevin Nash stuff.
So Nash sticks Punk with the powerbomb at SummerSlam. Del Rio cashes in.
That's right.
That's done. So now we're on to Cena and Del Rio somehow.
Yep.
They do Punk and Triple H at Night of Champions. Triple H wins.
And then they do Triple H Kevin Nash at Hell in a Cell
at TLC.
Even worse.
No, you know what? Oh, it is.
It's a cell match, isn't it?
No, it's not a cell match. It's the sledgehammer match. I'm trying to think if that happened at Hell in a Cell or at TLC. They stretched it all the way out.
Let me look. Yeah, I'm taking a look. CM Punk is in a triple threat Hell in a Cell match on that card.
Right.
So no. Was it?
So it's a TLC 2011.
Okay.
They have the sledgehammer ladder match.
Yuck.
So that drags all the way out till December.
Right.
Yeah. So then from Night of Champions in September, you get the triple threat cell match, which is good. And then you get Punk winning the title at Survivor Series. And Triple H finishes off Punk's storyline versus Kevin Nash.
Sure. Because Punk wins at TLC in a triple threat TLC match.
I know he beats Del Rio and The Miz.
Right. Which gets us to the Rumble that year, and that's Dwayne, right?
No, Dwayne's the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's like the brief history of the beginning and the fallout of the pipe bomb. And you could say like, oof, maybe all of that was going to happen, whether the pipe bomb happened or not. But in the end, the ramifications and the play out of the pipe bomb probably left us worse off.
Maybe.
Because like if Punk doesn't get hot, Triple H doesn't have anything to latch onto there. And doesn't have anything to like turn and make it about himself.
True.
And Punk doesn't get like, if Punk is just hot instead of red hot, probably doesn't get his water shut off.
He never gets his water cut on.
Like he wins the title.
Yeah, but he wins.
But yeah,
he wins the title on SmackDown.
I was talking about Punk winning the title at Money in the Bank.
Right, but I don't know if
like
we
Punk's red hot.
Do we get Punk at Money in the Bank?
At that year, yeah, Money in the Bank. That's where Punk wins the title off of Cena.
Yes, I know that, but I mean, like, even if the pipe bomb doesn't happen,
gotcha.
Does Punk win? No.
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 Punk never
it's just a
wins.
standard.
Punk never leaves. Punk doesn't get cult personality.
No, it's just a standard title defense for John Cena at a pay-per-view.
Right. And it just salute, carry on, move along. And yeah, I feel like Punk's water never cuts on, and then Punk becomes another Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, just perpetual mid-card, upper mid-card dude who gets a blink in the main event because we need something to do. We got 15 pay-per-views a year, pal.
Yep.
And that's it. Right?
Yeah, he becomes Christian with more tattoos.
Yeah. We probably don't get Kevin Nash, which, you know, we love Big Kev, but we don't need him in.
Don't need that run.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I'd rather rewatch the World Elite stuff than watch any of this 2011 Triple H Kevin Nash stuff. And didn't you have to watch this for War?
Did, yeah. It was really bad.
I'd have quit then.
It was real bad.
I wouldn't have made it as far as y'all did. I'd be like, no, not me, not me. No, not a chance.
But it led to excitement. That was the main thing. And I felt like the promo was effective from that point of view.
Right.
It was exciting.
It was. And it is a good thing to come back and look upon. But it is also crazy too that was 13 years ago.
Sheesh.
No. It does not feel that long.
Wow. Well, to help us keep our minds off things, Mr. Tim, I have a blind ranking for you.
Ooh, you do?
I do, and it is appropriately themed as it is. You are blind ranking the top 5, in my opinion. I just picked 5 matches or moments of CM Punk in his first WWE run / WWE adjacent run.
Okay.
So first up for you is the CM Punk heel turn on Raw 1000. That's where he clotheslines The Rock.
That's high for me. I'm trying to think of other Punk. This is all from Punk's first run in WWE.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm confident this is a 2.
Okay. Next up for you, I've got to write it down so I don't lose track. Is 2. Next up for you is CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam 2013.
Best versus the Beast. I was never really high on this match. I'm going to go 4.
Okay. Next up for you is CM Punk outpops DX at Survivor Series 2006 from Philly.
3. It's cool, but it's not anything. It's a nothing burger in the scheme of things.
All right, so you have 1 and 5 left. I'm going to give you Money in the Bank 2011.
1.
Which means coming in at number 5 is
The Pipe Bomb.
CM Punk on Colt Cabana's podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That feels right. You know, that's not the worst. It could have been much, much worse, I think. Do you want, I don't have a ranking for you, but I can put one together, I think.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'll double up and I'll get you 2 next week.
All right.
I've been doing a whole bunch of background stuff. I didn't even think, even though Blind Rankings is the best, the fastest rising podcast topic in all of Final Wrestling Place. That'll do it. But what do you want to talk about next, partner? Is it time to dip into
man.
some current day stuff?
I think it is, my guy. I think
All
it
right.
is. So I know last week we were talking about how we got blessed with a week that was pretty active. We had stuff actually happen on Raw. We got a good Raw for the most part. And we had a great SmackDown. And we had a really good Dynamite last week as well. And I don't really think there was too much of a drop off from the quality of shows this week. I guess let's talk some Uncle Howdy, man. I'll just say I thought this week was like a hold for me, which is okay. Like, if there is a criticism, one of the many criticisms I have of like WWE TV, like, I don't need something big to happen every week. And like some of my favorite times in wrestling in WWE are like 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. And it's like, yeah, because I'm a little kid, right? But also, there wasn't major stuff happening every week. It was like, okay, next week we'll hear from so-and-so. And then the week after that, you will hear from so-and-so with the rebuttal. And then we'll spend the next week hyping up the next week when they'll go like face to face. Like, you just got a month's worth of TV that you didn't blow through in one segment. So like the fact that we only got like Nikki Cross doing the Crawley thing and we got the videotape payoff all in one night, I was like, I'm good here. But I guess we could also talk about what was on the quote unquote videotape.
Yeah, I think my big takeaway is I don't need to see all of the 6 every week.
Oh, that's a good take. Okay.
Right. We only saw physically in the arena Abby the Witch, right? Sister Abigail, or not Sister Abigail, Abby the Witch, incarnate Nikki Cross. And we get the videotape of the hard-hitting journalism of Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas, which, did they call him Bo Dallas in the video?
None of that was for me, and I feel really bad. So like I watched like a couple seconds and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
So that's what's crazy, is that like we don't have a name for the humans that are involved, right? Like, we technically don't have names for the other characters too, but we followed the Firefly Funhouse long enough that it's like, we know there's Ramblin' Rabbit, and we know there's Huskus the Pig Boy, and we know that there's Abby the Witch, and we know that there's Mercy the Buzzard, and we've got Uncle Howdy. But the only person we've seen display the other alter ego is Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because in that videotape, Uncle Howdy asks like the pointed question of, aren't you afraid you're going to seem like you're ripping off your brother's legacy? Right? Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt were not brothers. But the guy who played Bo Dallas and the guy who played Bray Wyatt does. Which, again, 3rd week in a row, we're talking about different types of kayfabe. So it's interesting that we're tiptoeing and like hopping back and forth on this line of real-ish that happened, Bray Wyatt's dead, and this is a television show about a sport where people get bloodied and die, but don't die.
They get medically cleared the next week.
And win and qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. And so, with all that being said, I'm still in on I'm in on the 6.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Which I got to say real quick before I forget, we had some opinions last week, and some were shared, some were laughed at, and we're good with it. We're good with all of it. Absolutely love that we get people talking. Absolutely love all the talk that goes on in the Discord. But I couldn't help but notice that a lot of our thoughts and opinions from last week's episode were also echoed on the Wrestling Matt show with Matt Camp on YouTube. And he has been there, he's done it, and he's a really smart guy. And really enjoy what he's doing over there when I do get to catch what he's doing. And we got friends helping out with that as well. So trying to support them.
Right.
But yeah, shout out to him. And I just want to say real quick, great minds think alike, maybe. Really enjoy what he's doing over there. A lot of shared opinions about a lot of what we talked about last week. He echoed on his Monday show. So shout out to Matt Camp, fellow smart person.
Yes. And again, it's not meant to come across as like we are definitely the more WWE centric mind and fans of the network. I think if you were to put the fandom on like on like a political scale, right? Like if WWE is far right and AEW is left, right? We skew more towards WWE. At odds, I think At Odds is more in the middle. And We Need Wrestling skews more to AEW and even like beyond that and doing all their international stuff.
Progressive over there with their international talk.
Very. Like, golly, like there's people who follow politics and they're like, I follow politics. But then there's dudes who like can tell you what's happening with NATO. That's We Need Wrestling. We Need Wrestling is like following the UN and NATO and all that stuff. Like they know international relations. They know when Dennis Rodman's going over to Korea again. Like they know it all, baby.
Rod the Bod.
That's
real
right.
Hot Rod.
Real
Rodzilla?
hot rod, dude. Rodzilla. But just because it's like not for you doesn't mean that it's not good, right?
Sure.
Like,
and I think,
yeah, good.
I think, sorry to cut you off. I think this is a good chance to reset the table.
Yes.
For people who've been listening. And we've had a lot of new listeners, which is awesome. And new people checking us out. Thanks in part to you with getting us up on YouTube, that little platform.
I do two things.
So I appreciate it. It's two things more than I know how to do. So it's magic to me. At least I can speak for myself here. I grade WWE on the WWE scale. Mm-hmm. They make their wrestling, to borrow a phrase from DJ, they make their wrestling and their product that is unique to them and how they do it and what they add. And yes, the recipe has been shaken up a little bit. Yes, the end product is largely still the same, but the process has been a little bit different in how we get there under the Triple H, Paul Levesque era. Yeah. So I grade WWE off of its own thing. I don't grade it the same way I would grade AEW, which has come out and said that they are a challenger, that they are pro wrestling, and that is and for the sickos, and that is the lane that they look to occupy, which there is definitely plenty of room for and plenty of people that enjoy that. I enjoy a lot of aspects of AEW. Not all of it's for me, just like not all WWE's for me either. So like for me to say like, hey, WWE, this was good. 9 times out of 10, this was good for WWE.
Right.
There's going to be a couple things that float over that say, hey, you could take this out of WWE and you could put this into AEW, or you could watch this through a pro wrestling lens, and it's good. Like Orton versus Walter for me was good. I don't care what the watermark is at the bottom of the screen. That was professional wrestling to me. and that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple things that WWE is doing now more than they were before that fit into the pro wrestling lens, but large partly it's WWE.
Yeah, and on the same token, you take a segment like the end of Dynamite last week with Swerve and Will Ospreay with their, Cold War between each other. And Ospreay was warned. He's like, "You're lucky I like you because I put people in the grave for doing that." And Will got cheeky and snatched the belt from Swerve, and Swerve, without hesitation, kneecapped the man and house called him and stood over him proud. Didn't even mess with the international title because that's beneath him. But I bring all that up to say, just as WWE does really good pro wrestling that you could pull out and plug into AEW and it fits, you can do the same thing with sports entertainment like segments from AEW and plug it into WWE.
1,000%. But
Yes.
The hard part with that is nobody does sports entertainment like WWE.
Right.
And to steal a quote from Samoa Joe that our own Joe put me onto, you can't beat RIP Vince McMahon at sports entertainment, but you can beat him at a professional wrestling show.
Yes.
Which is why I want AEW to go more down that path, because you can do that. And that's what they were doing in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and into 2022. And then they started to lose their way.
Right. Right. And that's whether that's self-inflicted wounds or what have you. It happened, right?
Yeah.
Just like whatever the reasoning is, like right now WWE is having a resurgence because like whether you choose to see or not see the resurgence or not, or whether you continually put the caveats on like WWE thumping their chest at things, right? Like biggest gate, biggest this, biggest that.
Yay, capitalism.
Yay, capitalism. Awesome. Cool. To me, though, it means that there's more fans who are willing to shell out their bucks to go see, like, if WWE sucks, like, we have seen it before. When WWE sucks, nobody goes.
They play in high school gyms. Like, it happened during our lifetime. We saw it. And now I'm not talking about like the C towns. I'm talking about like Monday Night Raw from high school gyms.
Yes. And like even the time period with Vince, like right before the pandemic. Don't forget that long before we were taking pictures of AEW venues with half empty crowds, those same pictures were happening on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown on a regular basis at the tail end of the 2010s.
Yeah.
Like, it's not new. These pictures of fans who are trying to gotcha the competition or gotcha the other side, it's not new. And it's proof that when, like, if AEW sucks, nobody will show up. And if WWE sucks, no one will show up.
Yeah.
But when they're good, and they're consistently good, and they can string it together, that's what grows your fan base. The growth of anything, and I learned this from my time in radio. Growth is to get your cumulative views, you have to keep the fans you have and add new ones. And if you lose some of your existing fans, you then have to make double new fans. And that's hard to do. it's hard enough to get new fans as it is. And then sometimes you have to do double the work, triple the work to get new fans. No. That's why it's the expression with marriage is it's cheaper to keep her, but it's the same in business too, right? It's cheaper for a business, whether it's your cable provider, whether it's your mechanic, whether it's WWE or AEW, right? Keeping their diehard ritualistic fan base happy and keeping them watching on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays is priority number one. Keep getting the same people you get all the time. Don't miss any of those people. And then branch out and add seats. So that's where that is. So our pro WWE love is not anti AEW hate. Our AEW love is not WWE hate. We love wrestling just as much as everybody else does. It's just we like talking about the good stuff. We don't like talking about the negative side. Now, obviously, there are times and there's places where that needs to be brought up and brought attention to. But for the most part, we're fun. Life is a fart joke.
And WWE, I think, continues being really good in some of the things that they do with this last episode of SmackDown.
Right. Like Paul Heyman said, accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. There was no fat really on this episode of SmackDown.
Like some of the in-ring, there was a women's Money in the Bank qualifier that was oof.
The Naomi Blair Davenport Indy Hartwell one.
Yes, I think that's the one.
Because the other was Jade, Candice LeRae, and who ended up winning that? The third person in the match.
Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton, guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
That
one was okay.
Solid. It was solid. It was solid. Like,
yeah,
it was a WWE 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. Other one, oof.
Buns.
But I mean, SmackDown, like, pretty much it was about the bookends. It was about the start of the show and the end of the show for me. We got the Bloodline rolls up, make their entrance. We get the obligatory single camera shot. And then we have actual consequences and like things being built off of from the previous week where like they jumped the big three baby faces in Orton, Cody, and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And they roll up ready to fight. And it's like, oh, it actually feels like a cohesive show from like the end of what I saw last week to the beginning of what I'm seeing this week actually goes together.
It's crazy that it seems like, you know, you have a whole week to plan and strategize and think about what you're going to do to somebody on television, and you actually make it work. Like, if you break it apart and you actually like look at wrestling as like a real thing, if Cody and Roman or Cody, Randy, and Kevin all get jumped by this one dude, they got a whole week and they're like, yo, when we get to New York, we're showing up together at the venue and we're beating down the Bloodline, right? Like, yep. in real life, they're coming. We are not waiting. We are coming to fight these dudes straight up. I don't care if it's a 4-on-1 or a 4-on-3 or whatever have you. I don't care if the odds are uneven. We're getting this work.
And it's MSG, and we got a really good MSG brawl.
We did.
Which they like to do from time to time. So that was super
Almost
cool.
Every time they go to MSG.
Yeah, we get the MSG crowd dive.
The dive
Owens
spot.
hit the swanton. Yeah, that was dope. And then like we get the promo. Once the heels get run off, we get the baby faces in the ring all fired up, and Cody channeled like some super angry Dusty vibes, which was really cool. I was like, oh, okay. That guy is okay. More of that.
Yeah.
More of that. More of that.
But
Yeah.
if you're always angry, you're never angry.
So I like Cody Rhodes more like that and less like what
The politician
this
we get?
character would have been had he kept on the suit and tie and not hit Vince in the balls.
Okay.
That's like what I think this version of like Cody Rhodes is like, what if corporate Steve Austin was actually a thing?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so they get escorted, right? Run out of the building. So
By NYPD.
it explains it, super official NYPD, Cody's own people turning on him, and it explains why.
What is that supposed to mean?
It explains why the good guys are not here. So then we get the acknowledgement ceremony of Solo, playing back to the last time that they were in MSG, which is where Jay ends up turning on the Bloodline. And we get to the Jay Roman match at SummerSlam, which was but the moment itself in Madison Square Garden, the segment was really good. That was the infamous 40-minute segment. That was really good stuff. So we're back a year later in the same building, and it takes us to our main event segment.
And even the lead up to it, right? You know, there's the backstage segment with Paul and Solo, and Paul's like as soon as the Bloodline shows up, Paul asks, "Where is Jacob Fatu?" And Solo's got nothing for him. And then a little bit later, Paul asks again. It's like, "Hey, where is Jacob Fatu?" And Solo straight up tells Paul, is like, "He's not here. I listened to you. You're my wise man. Like, you told me he was dangerous. I told him not to show up. I told him not to be here." And then we get to the acknowledgement ceremony. And what's the first thing Solo does? He opens the tree and allows for the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, who, by the way, if you didn't get it last week when he beat up Stone Cold, The Undertaker, and The Rock in the same night, just watch his debut. Listen to his entrance theme. Look at his presentation. That dude is main event.
It's actually like, this is like pretty geeky. I get excited when I see somebody in WWE, and like I've seen enough wrestling /WWE in my life to realize like, oh yeah, this is a dude. Like, this is a main eventer. This is a dude. This is a main eventer. Yeah, this bad things he's done, people he's ripped off, charities that might have had less money. Sorry about all that. This dude is dope.
Yeah. Look, just like you said, hey, Will Ospreay's in AEW now. Clean slate.
Clean slate Jones.
Jacob Fatu, I don't know him outside. Okay? I just know him for 2 weeks in the WWE. And guess what? He's pretty terrific. They have shined him up. And I don't know what it is about Def Rebel only making good music for the Bloodline. I feel like every member of the Bloodline has really great music, but nobody else in the WWE has any good music.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Really bad. Really bad.
Braun Breaker's WCW inspired theme ain't doing it for me, but Jacob Fatu, that theme's trying to make me start a fight in the street today.
Dude, the fire that comes up, I was like, okay, this is okay. All right.
It's so good.
Let's go. This whole Bloodline thing, again, yes, I know Solo's at the head of it. Okay, I know this is heading to Roman versus Solo. This
It's
is
not.
the Jacob Fatu launching pad. That's what this group is to me.
But just like Solo was the enforcer for Roman, for the Bloodline to be the vehicle for Solo to spin out.
Right.
Now Jacob, when you watch the ceremony, Solo is lining everybody up in the exact same formation that Roman lined people up in his bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Fatu, he is my enforcer. I was Roman's enforcer. You have my right-hand man, Tama Tonga, in his MJF ripoff t-shirt. Did you catch that? That is MJF font, but it's MFT, not MJF. Just flip a letter around, it's all there. But he's the right-hand man, just like Jay. You got infamous Tongaloa. He's nothing happening Jimmy Uso, right?
Every group needs a trail man.
Everybody needs a follow-up, dude.
Yep.
But the way that everybody acknowledged some Solo, I thought it was really cool that Tama Tonga spoke in his native tongue.
That was dope.
I also feel like that's a callback to the original Bloodline acknowledgement ceremony, because I think Jay did the same thing.
I'd have to watch again. I don't remember that.
I need to go back and watch it myself too, but it's too on the nose. It's perfect. It's perfect every single way. But then we get to Paul, and infamous Tongaloa's got this bag, and opens the bag, and out pops the Ulafala.
Oh, baby.
The red beaded necklace. And as soon as Paul sees it, he is freaking out. like somebody broke into his house, his baby's in the crib, and they stole his baby's favorite, like, stuffy.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Like, going back again, referencing Matt Camp and like what we had talked about, everybody is selling so well for everything in this Bloodline storyline. And the fact that the gimmick was sold for more than the title itself is like, why this is the best thing going on still.
Right. Like, it's one thing, and Paul knows this to be true. It is one thing to say you are something. You can call yourself the innovator of violence. You can call yourself the franchise. You can call yourself the tribal chief, right? But if there is something that actually signifies you being that thing, and now you have it, it literally ruins Paul's brain.
It's where the power lies.
It's the Ulafala. That's from the elders. That is the signification of being the tribal chief. And Paul's like, why do you have this? How do you have this? This is not right. And Solo's like, acknowledge me. And Paul gets the pop of the millennium.
Dude, you can't even hear what he says on the mic.
It's like,
it is so loud. It is so loud in there. When he says that he cannot acknowledge Solo as the tribal chief.
He's like, Solo, I love you. I acknowledge that you are not my tribal chief. And he throws the Ulafala down, and he throws the microphone down, and then they give him the whooping.
He accepts his fate. It's like the one moment that Paul Heyman had a spine.
Right. After all this time, it's like Bobby Heenan finally being right at Bash at the Beach 96.
Yeah.
He's been shitting on Hulk this whole time, and now finally he's vindicated. He's right. And now we've got Paul standing up and being like, not my Roman Reigns. Nope. And then he gets spiked. He gets diving headbutted. And then we stack him. And kudos to Paul.
He gets shield bombed.
He gets triple power bomb. I was just watching on my social media. There's a Instagram account that only replays. They upload every day the promo of Roman like going insane after talking about the double triple power bomb that they did, where he's shaking his head and he's like, it's a double triple power bomb. And like, that's how I felt when they shield bombed Paul. I'm there. Get me all the way locked in for whatever's going to happen at Survivor Series, which is not a mega event. Survivor Series, the Rumble, Mania. And if this does not turn into Roman Rocket Mania, where Rock is the guy who's actually leading Solo and the Tongans and Jacob, which forces Paul in his infinite wisdom to make amends with the Usos, pull in Sammy, bring in Roman, and they need a fifth, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
to me, the fifth is Seth Rollins.
That's where it gets interesting.
Roman needs family. And even in the height of their antagonization between each other, just making up words, even when they were at odds with each other the most, Roman and Seth were still calling each other brother. It is only a matter of time where, because at this point after WrestleMania, hands are washed. Roman got his full comeuppance on Seth. That chapter's done. Seth stabbed Roman in the back. Roman stabbed him in the front, and that's it. Right? Now, it's bigger than all of that. It's gotta be Seth. Because if it's not, I don't know who it is. And I don't want another external bloodline dude. I don't want Cesar Sikoa. I don't want that. I don't want Hikuleu. No. Stay away.
Oh, yeah.
No. We're perfect. I don't want Zilla. Leave Zilla alone.
Yeah, I don't think I want Roman to come back with like a new bloodline. It's like you want the original.
His old bloodline.
And you want, especially since this is a Roman-centric storyline, you want all the hits to be played. Only thing I wanted to say, wrapping up the Heyman part, I liked the digital exclusive of Heyman being like wheeled out.
Yeah.
Like he's Fritz von Erich faking a heart attack.
Yep.
Get wheeled out of the summit or wherever the WCCW show was. Yeah, that was like, man, pro wrestling, baby. Like that was a pro wrestling angle. Done really well. And I really enjoyed it. You had talked about like Survivor Series not being one of the big three, which like it isn't. It hasn't been for some time, and it's about time that we all grow to get comfortable admitting that and acknowledge it. And it is War Games, but it is not a stadium filler. I don't know when you bring Roman back. Correction. I don't know if I'm Roman when I feel like coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like the timing. I feel like, much like Lion King, you need the big bad to actually have a run.
Right.
And if it's just like the new Bloodline has assembled and we have them for 4 or 6 weeks on TV and then Roman comes back to avenge Paul, going back to the Punk stuff, it's too soon.
It is.
I feel like these guys actually need to run, and they need to run through the roster. They need to run roughshod on SmackDown. They need to be a problem.
I'll even go a step further. Solo's got to beat Cody.
So this has kind of led me to, and I don't know, they can definitely get there without it. Is there a chance that Jay gets jumped out of Money in the Bank and replaced by a Bloodline guy? His own brother being Solo.
Possibly.
And winning the briefcase. Now, I think Money in the Bank, for the most part, has become a lazy crutch. I don't think that they need the briefcase to get to Solo and Cody, especially when you're doing the summertime tradition of the 6-man tag. You could just have Solo pick up the win, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think doing it at SummerSlam is too soon. But I don't know, because it feels like there's also a little bit of smoke to, like, on SmackDown, going back to the promo where Cody mentioned that Orton's a 14-time world champion. You saw the head of the snake poke up. You said, oh.
Or Cody saying, I should be here defending the world championship in Madison Square Garden. And Randy's in the ring and going, you still can? You know, you still could, right? You could.
Whether he's working himself into a shoot or not.
It'd sure be cool if he did.
There's been these little breadcrumbs that you could pick up. Can't say it's proof, but I can say it's evidence.
Right. Can't prove the evidence, but I can say it's there.
So I don't know if it's a formal Randy Orton heel turn, if it's just a, hey man, you want to give your old buddy a match and it's a one-off. I don't know if they go the AJ Styles route and it's the one-off that gets the angle spinning out of it to then get an extended program. I don't know. I just don't want this to be rushed, and I want them to have their time where they actually run.
Right.
Like the NWO, this is nowhere close to it, but like the NWO would have sucked. Like the angle would have sucked if Sting comes back by Starrcade 96 and we wrap up the program at Super Brawl.
So, okay, now let's go to WCW really quick. Hulk joins the NWO. Who is the world champion?
The Giant.
That's right. Okay. So the Giant is the champ. Doesn't Hulk beat the Giant for the title the next month?
The next month, yes.
After
the Wild.
Yeah, okay. So the NWO is formed. They are the greatest power in the universe, dude. And they immediately take control of the world title.
Mm-hmm.
To me, in my head, if the Bloodline is this dangerous, and if Solo is actually going to be the threat, Solo has to do what Roman couldn't or didn't last. Okay? He's got to topple the Nightmare. He's got to take Cody down. Even if Cody gets the belt back at Rumble, get Cody out of the Rumble match. You have Solo and Cody at the Rumble, okay? Even if that's the case, you have to put the title on Solo. And I think SummerSlam is perfect. Big super stadium. It's a big match. New Japan did the exact same thing with Sonata like 2 years or a year or two ago, where Sonata's just a guy in LIJ, and then he spins out of LIJ, he joins Just Five Guys, and then immediately wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It was almost bang, bang, bang. That's how he got to Sonata as champ. Doing the same thing with Solo, especially now that like he is the mob boss who leads by action, where everything is a nail because he owns a hammer. I think having him win sooner rather than later is better off.
I'm just afraid once Solo wins the title, it's now like, I hate saying this, but now it's Cody's story again. Like once you do Solo versus Cody one-on-one at a pay-per-view, now it's Cody's.
Because to me, Roman doesn't sniff the title again.
Correct.
Roman's above the title.
Correct.
So
it loses its effectiveness, though, if Cody beats Solo at any point in here.
Not if at the Rumble, the OG Bloodline neutralizes the new Bloodline, just like Cody's Avengers neutralized the old Bloodline at WrestleMania.
But it's Roman 1v4. But then even then, it's like Roman already wrecking shop.
It's Roman and the Usos and Sammy.
Gotcha. I don't know, man. At least it's interesting. At least it's interesting.
Exactly. It gives you something to talk about. And I hate to be the WWE honk, but they asked what inning we were in. And everybody scoffed when they were like the third. And everybody thought that the whole Bloodline story was going to suck after Roman left. And I'm more jazzed for this new Bloodline than I was for the old Bloodline at the tail end.
Like, this is the best it's been, and probably better than the Sami Zayn stuff.
I don't think it's better.
And that can be up for debate. That can be up for preference. I prefer these dynamics over the dynamics of fall of 2022. But that's just me and my taste.
That Bloodline, the entertainment factor is equaled. But it's equaled because Sammy was like the comedic relief for this big, impressive group, right? Whereas this other group is just stone cold killers, right? Who they don't have room for a ha-ha man in the group. We ain't got the place. Ain't nobody here telling jokes and doing handshakes and calling people Usi. Like, we don't have room for that. So, yeah, man, Bloodline up, WWE up. Things are good. And we talked about it earlier today too, but like talking about Dynamite on the way into Forbidden Door, right? Dynamite was a tight show, except for the beginning. Weird Presto Strangeo, MJF, Danny Garcia, and Will Ospreay segment.
I'm getting to a point with the MJF stuff. Like, am I just too old to understand anything that's happening or being said? Like, it's reaching a point where I cannot follow along. None of this is making sense to me. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills whenever he's on screen. Like, how do you get from like, I'm back, no more Mr. Jokey Man, here's me with the devil mask wiping my booty and dropping an elbow on it and sending it out to the crowd, and also I'm 2002 gassed up Triple H, and also I have a problem with Roosh, and oh yeah, we're going to go commercial free, which isn't going to do too well in the ratings, but I'm the ratings man. And oh yeah, I have a problem with Hechicero now. And oh yeah, I'm beefing with Danny Garcia. Oh yeah, I'm insecure about Will Ospreay. Oh yeah, I want the world title back. Oh yeah, I might still have beef with Adam Cole in the Kingdom, which I never fully avenged. Just too many pieces for me. Too many pieces that aren't being like cognitively connected. Just, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. He definitely does have a place on the card. He has a place in the company. He is an established act. People in AEW like him. The crowd likes him. He has a spot. He's got a spot. It is a lot of TV time dedicated to something that I don't get or understand. And it's not like Orange Cassidy where it's like, oh, I don't get it. But it's like, but he's good. It's like, I don't know if what I'm seeing is good.
Right. And I'm curious if what they're trying to do is showcase how much the landscape of AEW has changed in the time that MJF has been gone, where MJF still thinks he is the straw that stirs the drink, and he's trying to put himself in the middle of everything, whether it is a match with Roosh to start the show commercial free, whether it is caping up for AEW against Hechicero at Forbidden Door, whether it is feeling the need to call it, Danny Garcia the future and like saying, oh, you remind me of a me. Y'all are like 3 years apart. What are you talking about? Like, I don't get it. But maybe it's MJF thinking that he's more of a straw stirring the drink than he actually is, which is why when Ospreay comes in and literally like snatches the spotlight from him in 60 seconds, MJF is just holding his bag because the actual straw stirring the drink of AEW came in quick, concise, and stole Danny Garcia's attention from MJF to him. Which means it's eventually going to lead to MJF and Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Which might be Wembley.
Which I could get behind that story if that's what they were communicating.
I think it's too early to know what they're communicating.
Yeah. If that's what they were going for, and that's what they were like communicating to me and telling me, not that I need to be like spoon fed like Bully Ray.
Right.
But
where's
like,
my video package?
It's not match. Who are these people? Yeah. Anything else from Dynamite?
I like the conglomeration.
Yeah, fine.
It's good to see OC in a group again and like things being with that.
It's a good way to group people together who like you want on your TV anyways, who do really well in like the ratings or whatever, and can have good matches with people.
Right. And it feels very much like the Union.
Yeah.
where it's like these people who really have nothing in common are just all together, and like Cool Kyle and OC and Mark Briscoe. Dope. Cool. Don't split them up early.
Just 3 universally loved people.
Yeah. Just good old people doing good old people stuff, right? Also, the women's division's in a really good spot right now.
When they're not trying to force Saraya in, yes, I agree.
I think even with Saraya playing the part that she's playing, it's still good. Like with the Mina, Tony, Mariah stuff, with the Statlander and Willow stuff, even the Mercedes stuff with Stephanie Vacour, like all of that stuff is interesting to me. And then just as an aside, like the new outcasts with Saraya, Harley Cameron, and bad attitude and fat booty herself, Anna Jay.
27th reboot of Anna Jay. Here we go again.
At least she's not a magician, right?
At least she's not a magician.
At least she's not a magician. But the women's division's solid right now. And this is without Britt Baker. This is without Hikaru Shida. This is without Riho and Yuka and Emi Sakura.
Jamie
Hayter. It's without Nyla Rose. It's literally without like half of or literally all of your initial AEW women. Right? Which means wait till they come back. Wait till they're all here and then they try to fit in. Now, is it going to be very much the same as like the MJF story? Where Britt Baker comes back and she thinks she's the straw and she thinks she's queen crap and she ain't nothing? And she feels she comes across just as useless and helpless and worthless as MJF is right now? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I'd like to see. I'd like for it to try.
That one's going to be probably more interesting to me than the MJF one because, I mean, the data's there. The women do get so much less time across all shows. That one's going to be really interesting when Britt Baker comes back because it's like, okay. I mean, sometimes we have both women's titles going like, you know, turned up to 10. But like, there's only 2 people who can be in those spots. And usually there's only one person who's on the front burner and one's on the back burner. It's very rare that they're both up front on the front burners. Britt Baker come back and take one of the spots because like that's something I really don't like about like women's wrestling is like whenever there is a big name or a big star that comes back, they immediately get the title.
Right.
Because
it's you, Mercedes.
Because of the expectation, but also the way that the television works. If you don't have the title, then you don't have a program. And like Willow and Statlander are breaking that, which I'm thrilled about.
But it was rooted in the title.
It was rooted in the title. It was a very rare actual like spinoff we're getting that's following through on TV.
Right.
Like that is the exception, not the rule. So when that program wraps up, and if Britt Baker does come back, or if Jamie Hayter comes back, like Stat and Willow are done with each other, like what are you gonna do? Because the crutch of we're just gonna throw one of the titles on whoever we're pushing for the next 6 to 8 weeks, that's gone. That's gone because you're not going to take a title off Sasha. And the work Tony Storm's doing, like, unless there's an injury, which you're never rooting for, you're not taking the title off her. As we speak here Saturday night.
Right. You know, and we've got Forbidden Door coming up. Usually we do a pre-cap of things. to prognosticate. I didn't get my tape, but I'm happy to talk about like what we think's going to happen. I think Swerve walks out still as your AEW champ.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I think so too. I think the reputation that Forbidden Door shows have built up the last couple of years. I'm not expecting an angle. I'm not expecting a 6 finish. Rib. I think we're getting a clean finish, and I don't think it's Don Callis family. I don't think it's MJF. I don't think it's Ricochet. I don't think it's any of that. I think it is Swerve getting a clean 1-2-3 on Will Ospreay. Because in professional wrestling, sometimes you're not the better man that night, and that's okay. I think that's the story that should be told. If they're not going to run it back at Wembley between these two, I think it is a clean 1-2-3.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some chicanery. I don't foresee them doing anything clean on Ospreay as of yet, but it very well could. But I think I think Forbidden Door altogether is going to be, I think it's going to exceed expectations in certain aspects because I feel I feel like the bar is going to be a little low.
Yeah, I'm sure last year I felt like, and in the first one, like people didn't know what to expect. So it's got a lot to live up to, but because AEW has kind of been down bad, low key since November, I think the bar is low heading into the show, and I think they're gonna clear it. Like by and far.
I mean, here's hoping, right? Here's hoping.
Yeah.
What other big things are you expecting to come from Forbidden Door this week?
I am expecting a clear and clean show.
Mm-hmm.
Like clean finishes, not a lot of interference. I think the only interference that there should be is if Mariah May plays any kind of role into the match between Mina and Tony. Other than that, I am expecting clean finishes, professional wrestling up and down the card. That's like my hope. That's my expectation. Sometimes you just need a show that kind of resets the expectations. And I think that should be the show.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be rather good because I think it doesn't feel like there's a lot of expectation on this card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, MJF Hechicero, not necessarily like a match I'm super hyped about on paper. Mercedes and Stephanie Vacour, not for me. I'm not here for the Young Bucks and Okada versus the Acclaimed and Tanahashi Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here for Joe Goon versus the Learning Tree. Like I love Joe Hook and Shibata, but I hate everything Chris Jericho, and I don't care.
I feel like when that match comes on, it's going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this match.
And knowing this card, it's going to be like the 8th match of the night. Like it's not going early.
This is the match where we go, all right, what else is left?
Oh, yeah. Like, we're going to be sitting and there's going to be like a handful of matches have already happened. And we're like, what's left? And we're going to be like, the world title and this. And then right as we're going to say it, the graphic's going to hit the screen. And then everybody's going to line up for the bathroom. And we're just going to conga line right through it. Like, everybody in the house, whether you got 2 legs or 4 legs, you're lining up for the bathroom, right? No chance.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you are most excited about?
I mean, Tony and Mina. That's
Right.
probably it. Like Tony, Mina, and probably just to see what they do with Swerve and Ospreay, because I think from like a company standpoint, AEW's done pretty well with not booking themselves into too many corners. And I feel like when this match got announced, there was like, okay, they booked themselves into a corner. Why would they do this at Forbidden Door? Is Ricochet like coming into the company? Is that why they're doing this match now? Are they trying to save like Swerve's title run? Like what exactly is the point of this match? So like I'm looking forward into seeing like all of that play out.
As am I. I'm also curious to see what they're gonna do with the TNT title.
That's right. Okay.
In the ladder match.
I'm just accepting that that's gonna go to Jungle Jack, huh?
I hope it doesn't, but it's gonna.
Yeah.
It's gonna, and I'm gonna hate it because again, it's another Takeshita thing. That's just. It's like, why'd you put Takeshita in the match if he ain't gonna win? Like, just don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just don't. He can't.
Yeah.
He can't. And I get you want to give everything to Jack Perry for the Bloodline.
Being a sad boy.
Yeah, like, oh, the Elite have to be a thing.
But not for me. Yeah, man. I feel like that pretty much wraps up the meat. It's already in the meat.
It is
the meat of the show.
It is in fact already in the meat. But Marcus, right now it is it's the best part of the show.
And now, Tim Taylor presents The Undertaking.
What is so funny? What's so funny?
Okay. So most of the time I forget that it's coming up. So it's like genuine surprise.
Inside Baseball, Marcus writes the show notes for this. So he literally does not remember. Wrestler brain is real, folks.
Yeah. So nope, don't remember the finish. Yeah. So and then the sounder's so good.
Yeah,
it's
it is
so good. Thank you, Dwickie, third man.
Dwickie's the best. So we were doing an Undertaking, and Marcus, you wouldn't believe it. Old Mark from Texas, he's talking about Mr. Hitman.
He better put some respect on his name.
Well, he says he's a little heartbroken that he didn't show up to his birthday. Like he showed up to the old FTR Balds.
Well, you got to pay some respects.
Pay in the what sense? What word?
And paying the travel fee. Hell no.
paying tequila, I guess.
That was cool, by the way.
That was so cool. I don't care what anybody says.
Super dope.
Yeah, it was pretty. Dudes rock 100%.
Dudes rock. Yeah.
But the episode was very good. I encourage anyone who is a part of the Soon to Be Named Network. This isn't just me, Hyperbole Jones. Like this is an episode of 6 Feet Under that is as close to must watch as you can get. There's no paramilitary people. There's no paracops. There's nothing. This is talking wrestling, okay? And it's very complimentary of Mr. Hitman. They talk about Undertaker and Brett from 92 in a house show in MSG. But they really talk about SummerSlam 97, which You and I have that match really high.
Yeah.
Like,
I really do. I encourage anybody to go back and watch that match. It is still the blueprint for main event style wrestling.
right. And if you don't recall what it is, it's Brett versus Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. And if Shawn does not call the match right down the middle, if Shawn doesn't call the match right down the middle, he can no longer wrestle in the United States ever again. And if Bret Hart puts his hands on Shawn Michaels as an official, then Bret Hart can never wrestle in Canada ever again, right?
Yeah, if Bret loses. Yeah, if Bret loses, he's never wrestling in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, there was tons of stipulations involved, tons of craziness, but we get to interesting conversation point where they bring up the screw job. And they talk about Undertaker talks about how Bret didn't want to go, that it was a money deal. There was just too much money on the table. Bret couldn't leave it. And
But Undertaker wish he had some of that.
To this day. And but he mentions that while he does believe that Bret would have showed up on Raw the next night and vacated the title and like gave it up, it does nothing for the WWE to have your champion retain, show up, and vacate the title only to walk into enemy territory shortly thereafter and get to claim that they never lost. It does nothing for WWE. It does nothing for what they're doing. And it, to me, it comes across as a bit revisionist history. A little bit. But also, it makes a little sense, too. But
So,
go ahead.
I think it makes sense if, again, you're going by the revisionist history, because that is not an accurate recounting and retelling of the events. It was not an either or situation. It was not either screw job or Bret retains the title and gives it up the next night. Those were not the only two options on the board. And I think with WWE and the survivors being able to tell history, that is what it has been narrowed down to, when that is not an accurate portrayal of history at all.
Right. And so they do discuss if Bret had not left and the screw job never happened that year.
Okay.
And so that's our takeaway from the Undertaking this week. Between us, let us try to figure out a world where Bret stays after Survivor Series 97 into WrestleMania 14.
Okay. And I guess if I had a question for Mr. Undertaker, it's why did you not push harder along with Bret for Bret to drop the title to you the night before in Detroit at a house show? Which is what Bret wanted to do. That's my question for Mr. Undertaker. But as far as your question to me, what does WrestleMania 14 look like? I will volley to you, sir. What do you think WrestleMania 14 looks like?
So I think Undertaker is still out of the picture.
Okay.
Undertaker's out of the picture because of the simple fact that Kane appears in October, independently of anything that takes place with Shawn or Bret or the title. So Undertaker Kane,
Yeah,
So that leaves Survivor Series wins the title, or who leaves as champion. And I'm guessing if the screw job never happens and Brett stays, then Brett is still champion.
Okay.
Right? Like, that's my thought, right?
Okay.
Because I think if he loses the title to Shawn, there's no reason for him to really be in the company still.
Okay. So you have it Brett Shawn at WrestleMania 14?
Yeah, I feel like that's the back. Because
And
they
then
were
what are you doing
supposed to do
with
it at 13.
Right.
Shawn has a pussyfoot injury.
They're supposed to do it at King of the Ring.
Right. I mean,
Brett has a very real injury.
Sorry. The reason why it doesn't happen at 13 is because
A little pussyfoot injury.
No. Thank you. And so you run it back at 14.
Okay.
But then the big question is, what do you do with Austin? Right?
Right.
So it's
Like-
one of those things where it's like you've got three pieces near the top of the card, right? You have Austin, you have Shawn, and you have Brett, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of those pieces is going to be out. So who's out of that equation? Because you also have to think then, so if Undertaker and Kane is still happening, does that mean at the Rumble, Undertaker and Shawn is still happening? Because at this point, Shawn's not champion. Brett is still champion. So Shawn and Undertaker may not be having a casket match. So does Shawn break his back and off the card? Right? Or pass it down, however it is. Very weird. Very
Okay.
presto strango.
All right. I think if Brett leaves Survivor Series still champion, let's pretend the screw job's not at work. So Brett leaves still champion. I think he loses it at some point in there to Mr. Undertaker. I think we get a Kane involvement that cost him the title. Maybe at Royal Rumble, it's Brett and Undertaker. Brett gets the title back. Kane is involved. Kane fights out whatever is left of the Hart Foundation, right? And then turns on Undertaker. So you replace DX with Hart Foundation there. I think Shawn. I think he goes home like he did anytime during that time period. Whether he was on top or not, he had worked pretty solidly from July, August, somewhere around there, up to January. So he's due for another break. So he probably goes home. That part probably stays the same. And I think you do Brett and Austin at WrestleMania 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Shawn is the odd man out. And I think Shawn is probably at home.
Okay. That makes sense.
You also have the Mike Tyson element in here, which the ball had to get rolling on that towards the end of like 97. So like, what exactly is the Tyson involvement? If you assume that's still on course, like you would like to think there was a match, but there's no way that like there's going to be a good Mike Tyson match. Like, do you try to do Tyson versus Shawn?
Is it Tyson Austin?
So that's what I was thinking too, because that was the rumor then. But to me, I think Austin, too much had changed from WrestleMania 13 to WrestleMania 14. And I think they knew that Austin was going to be a big deal. I don't know if they knew Austin was going to be the biggest deal that company's ever had.
Right.
Like, you don't expect somebody to surpass Hogan, but like that's what Austin did. So I think Austin has to be crowned at 14. I don't think that can be pushed off.
Makes sense.
And I think Brett's the guy to crown him to finally get his win. Because also in the fallout of WrestleMania 13, very careful not letting Austin ever beat Brett. I think they were saving that up, and I think that was going to get paid off at WrestleMania 14.
That makes sense. So you think we get the run back from 13, Brett Austin, and Sean's gone?
Yeah, unless he feels like doing business with Mike Tyson. I don't know. I don't know if that becomes a tag match, maybe like Triple H and Shawn versus Davey and Owen.
Right.
With Tyson involvement there. Yeah, I'm not sure. Or if you still do Tyson in the main event. No idea. But
if Shawn is still in the picture, what do you got for him?
I probably have Tyson. I probably have Shawn. I think probably Shawn Hunter. I think Shawn Hunter versus Owen and Bulldog. And I think you have China as their enforcer. And maybe the Hart Foundation has Tyson as their enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have Tyson leaving the Hart Foundation or whatever to join DX.
Okay. That makes sense. So, yeah, I'm trying to think who is around at WrestleMania 14.
Because there's not a lot of spare parts left.
Yeah, I'm taking a look.
Like, that's partly what makes 14 really good. Like, Jeff Jarrett doesn't have a match. He's like the big name left off the show that year.
Yeah.
But like you have Rock and Shamrock are paired off. You have Triple H and Owen. You got kind of a whole lot of nothing in the tag team battle royal. Like that's actually like a very good like get all the underneath guys on the card match.
Yeah.
You get Kane with Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like everybody's accounted for at WrestleMania 14.
Yeah. Yeah, that isn't like hurt. Unless Shawn. What if Shawn finds himself as referee again for the world title match? And Tyson as the outside enforcer? I'm just trying to find a way of like incorporating Shawn Michaels into the match or into the card where he's not like dead with like a back, right?
Or sadness. Yeah, probably not happening.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Because he didn't even want to do the match and he's the champ. And like he didn't want to do the match. Like he's not going to want to. It's hard to like imagine a world where he wants to be the ref again.
Right. Well, that's also like, with his broken back. Like, you also have to take into account, does the match at Royal Rumble still happen if Brett is here?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so then Shawn's back isn't as bad as led on because there's no bump into the casket.
He's probably more sad though.
No, this isn't lost smile. He's already lost his smile.
Might lose it again.
Yeah. Oop, found it.
I'm actually gonna check out that episode of 6 Feet, 6 Feet Under,
Yep.
or Chapter 11, whatever you want to call it, with Mark Calloway.
Not with these Blue Chew ads, man. We're still rocking the same old Blue Chew ad. You know, this one.
It's like steroids for your wiener. But legal.
You know, it's all there. So, but legal. So yeah, do you have anything to leave us off on as we ride off into the sunset?
I was gonna say, Mr. Pig is gonna be at Richmond, Virginia on July 12th. But you announced Mr. Pig, you know those tickets are gonna sell out, and they did in the shortest order yet. 30-minute sellout. So, yeah, nothing really to plug. That's it. That's it for me, dog.
Yeah, well, soon to be named network.tumblr.com is your home for us and so many other podcasts, including but not limited to our wrestling offerings of We Need Wrestling with DJ and Brett and At Odds of Wrestling with Joe and Adam. Really great episode on the At Odds Patreon this week for show homework for the Despy Invitational. Good to see everybody doing their homework, having good notes, and being able to contribute very well across the board.
Mr. Hitman.
That's right. No, but I'm all kidding aside. At STBN Network on Twitter is your spot. Check everything out. Including Wings on Wings, which is on a hiatus for the next couple of weeks. Can't wait to get them back in my feed. If you want to follow us on social media, you absolutely can. At Not the Tool Man for me, the Wrestling Speakeasy for Marcus, if you know, you know. At TNM Shows, where we post at Final Wrestling Place on Instagram. And catch us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's on any of your podcatchers of choice on YouTube, or I don't know how else you hear us, but if there's another way, let us know. Please let us know. Let us know in the Discord too of your thoughts on the episode. We really love on Mondays and Tuesdays seeing you guys pack out the TNM Shows thread and talk about whether it's the blind rankings or what we got right or wrong. It is so much fun to see that. Next week, we'll be talking about the fallout of Forbidden Door, the road to Money in the Bank, and probably some other stuff. We'll figure it out. But right now, Marcus, all that's left is to tell the people goodbye.
Bye, boys.